Hey folks, I haven't used GoToWebinar in a little bit. We'll keep this casual. Um, but if you're in the chat, say hi. I see that we have participants, and if you can hear me, so it gives me a good hello. We'll give everyone a couple minutes since it starts at hey Ian, hey Demetrius, hey Bianca, thank you. I'm gonna run this by myself, so I mean someone from Teal may jump in, but I'll occasionally try to get to the chat questions. I try to really make these as conversational as possible. Um, but we're just gonna like jump into software and techniques and tactics, um, and talk about the things that I think are good um, to get your job search humming. But if you have any questions in advance now while we're waiting out, I'll take notes so I can make sure to kind of try to address them. But also, if you don't have any, that's totally fine. Um, if I don't get to your question right away, I'll come back to them. But I'll probably take occasional pauses and breaks to try to answer a few questions here and there. No, Teal can't export to Word. Um, that is remarkably hard. Unfortunately, we have tried a number of different ways to export to Word. Um, we're working on it. We may have to like sort of rebuild our entire templating engine because the DOCX coding standard, it's an XML standard, is very different than our ability to make PDFs. Um, so we can't right now. But it's not because we don't want to. It's because it's very, very difficult. Will you discuss how to determine legitimate work offers versus fake offers? It wasn't on my agenda. Well, I don't have like great answers for you, honestly. Um, but I will take a note and I can do some research on that and hopefully provide some insights because uh, that's a pretty important, serious topic. And last thing I don't want to do is give you misinformation on it. That's a great tip from Megan. Like, yeah, obviously, I mean, these people are unfortunately very good at this. They make fake emails, they make fake companies. They're kind of crooks for a reason. If they only put that effort into like doing good things, it's a real bummer. I'm sorry about that. Will you go into more detail around the features in Teal Plus? Yes, yes. We'll start with a Teal free account and then sort of mid meeting, I'll upgrade it and I'll show you guys um, all the other things you can do with it. So absolutely, I will do that. Let me go ahead and get that ready. I used to run these all the time. I haven't run one in a little bit, so I may be a bit rusty. Bear with me, but I like real-time feedback. So if I'm talking too fast, talking too slow, not covering things that you want to know about, please let me know. We do not have live customer service reps, but since you joined this, I will personally happily hop on a go-to meeting with you, on a webinar with you, blah, blah, a Zoom meeting, one-on-one with you, and I'll help you. I'm more than happy to do that. Also, you can bring questions to these. I'm going to be doing these, I think, twice a week for the next 2 weeks. So also feel free to come to these and sort of treat them like office hours. All right, we're at 3:02. Let's jump in. So, all right, I'm going to share my screen. Where are we at on participants? Awesome, 64 people, incredible. Thank you all for joining. So I'm Dave Fano, founder and CEO at Teal. Um, for better or for worse, I designed a lot of the interfaces. Now we have some of the designers on the team. Teal's not that big of a company. We're around 30 people. We've been at this for a little while, and we really do this to help the consumer. We don't work with companies. We don't sell job posting to companies. We don't give resumes to companies. We only work for you, the candidate. And so your feedback and any kind of insights you have on your process and how we can be helpful, please send it our way. That's a big part of why I'm doing these. I want you to be more productive with the tool, but I also want your feedback. We really want to make this better for you. So for the purposes of today, we are Tina Miller. If you've watched any of our videos, you'll see we usually do TM, Teal member. So Tina Miller, you'll see Taylor Morris. We're Tina Miller. Tina Miller is a mid-career marketer, and we're going to be Tina, and we're going to get Tina's job search up and running, and we're going to talk through her process. We're going to do it using Teal because I do think Teal is a great way to jumpstart your job search. And like I said, the majority of the things I'm going to show today, you can do for free forever. And then I will show some of the stuff that you can do with Teal Plus that should help sort of boost some productivity. So we're going to go ahead and create a new account. Feel free to follow along. This is being recorded, and I will send out an email with the link to the recording we posted on YouTube. So feel free to follow along, but also know that I will happily send you the recording of this after. And most of the things that I'm covering are also available on different tutorials we have on YouTube. But the interface does change often as we push updates, so it may not be exactly the same. So we're going to go over to Teal, and we are going to sign up. And let's get this going. So I'm not going to use Gmail because that already is an existing account, and I want you guys to see a brand new account. So I'll just do, you can sign up with Gmail, use your LinkedIn. Unfortunately, if you use your LinkedIn, we can't automatically pull things in. So it really just creates your account. And I don't know if you guys know this, you can use aliases on Gmail. So we'll do this as webinar, but it would still go to my same Gmail account. And so this is Tina. And if anyone wants to log in and use this account after the fact, just take a screenshot of this and I'll leave this account live. You guys can use it and try it out. I'll just do careers 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so when you first sign up for Teal, it's going to ask you if you want to work on your resume, take control of your job search, or practice for an interview. I'll talk about that as well. I don't see your screen. Is it a problem? Is anyone else having issues seeing my screen? Okay, great. So most people can see it. All right, great. Thanks for the heads up on that. I will keep trying to take a look at the. I see some hands raised. I'll get to those after, so I don't get sort of too thrown off. So put them in the chat. I'll try to get back to them. I don't want to sort of disrupt the flow too much. I'll try to take a little, like I'll check in every 10, 15 minutes. All right, so we're going to start with, if we're taking control of our job search, we're jump starting our job search. Different people do it in different ways, right? And no job search is equal for anyone. Some folks like to make sure their resume is really tight before they start looking for jobs. Some people start to like looking for jobs. And then like given that this is not a Teal tutorial, I'm going to be doing that. This is about jump starting your job search. And I have a sort of background in marketing. I think a core thing you want to do is understand your market. What does the market want? Obviously, it's what I want to do is important as well. And so we need to find the intersection of those two things. Like I'm the product and the market is the customer. And so I need to be at the intersection of those two things to get a compelling offer and be in a place that I'm excited about and a job that I enjoy doing. So we're going to start with take control of your job search instead of improve your resume. We'll eventually get to that part, but pick whichever one you'd like. They all roads lead to the same thing eventually. And so that's going to get you to Teal. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with jobs. I think, again, the majority of people who sign up for Teal sign up for our resume builder, but the point of this is to jumpstart your job search. And I think jobs are the market, right? That's, if there's a thing I really want to do, but no one's out there looking to hire me for that, then there's no job for me. You can start your own company, but that's probably a different webinar with someone else. So we're assuming here we all want to work at a full-time job somewhere, and we want someone to employ us so that we can do the things we like doing. So we're going to go with jobs. And we actually have a job search engine, which I'll tell you guys in a little bit, but you're all probably using LinkedIn in some capacity. So I do want to account for that in our process. And so let's head over to LinkedIn and look at jobs. And Tina is a marketer. This what I'm going to show you now works on LinkedIn, on Indeed, and other sites as well. LinkedIn has some pretty cool stuff around these collections, which are pretty neat. It's a new feature that they have. Um, the jobs has gotten a little funky, but if I do show all, then well, it takes you to collections by default now. It didn't used to do that. Let's see here. And if you look at the URL, this is slash search. So these are the different ways. And then you have all your facets and filters. So it uses your profile by default to recommend some jobs. And what you want to start doing is look at the JDs, like start to understand. And I would say you even do this before working on your resume. Because what does the market want? So go through, look at them. What are the responsibilities, the requirements, the comp, do that research. And what I like to do is go in and survey and think about when you're shopping. You put a bunch of things in your shopping cart, but you're not necessarily going to buy them all. You're doing your research. And so this is already one of the places that Teal comes in handy. We have a Chrome extension. Here I just created an account. It's installed on this account already. So if can you, it's by default, you don't need to, that should take you to it. It's, sorry. You don't need to pin it. You can pin extensions. And so if I do manage extension, just so you guys can see it. So it's in the Chrome store. You just get Teal. And then when you sign up, it'll route you to it and take you to it. You just install it. It's free. It works in Chrome only. We don't have it for Firefox or Safari. So if you're not a Chrome person, I'm sorry. You can load jobs manually, and we have a job search engine, which I'll tell you about in a second. But I want to try to adapt for as many of your workflows as possible. So you click the extension, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull in information about the job for you. And if you're managing any kind of tracker, that's awesome. But that's a bit manual. You're doing it in a spreadsheet or an Airtable or a Notion or an Excel. There's a lot of work there. So the Chrome extension really streamlines a lot of those things for you. It's going to pull in some of the keywords that it's finding, and you go ahead and save the job. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bookmark a bunch, right? And let's say this is where you're learning. You're seeing these keywords you need to know. So do I have these abilities? Are these things I'm excited about? And save jobs. I'm not being too sort of rigid about this right now because I don't want to waste a bunch of time. But go ahead and save those. And now when you go back over to your job tracker, yeah, since I made a new account and I had the extension already installed, I thought that might happen to me, which it did. Let me log out of that extension. Let me log back in. So sorry, that was a bug on my part. Refresh. Shouldn't happen to you because you're not making multiple accounts. If you do happen to make multiple Teal accounts because it's a second job search and you're using it for a second time, that could happen to you. Just let us know. Happy to help you with that problem. But that was because of that. So let me go ahead and save some of these. And now I should see them in my job tracker. So there you go. So now we're in our job tracker. And the job tracker is aiming to give you a consistent way of looking at your jobs. And you don't have to apply to a lot of these. Like what I see a lot of people do with jobs is they almost like go 3 and 4 steps down the road. It's like, well, what about when I get the job offer and I don't want this job? It's like, just think about them as putting things in your shopping cart on Amazon. You're not even sure. Right now you're just doing research. You want to learn, what is the market asking for? I like to say, you are a salesperson and the product is you. And so like, what does the market want? This thing that we're selling, does the market want it? And because job titles are all over the map and companies use them in very different ways, you really want to spend time on the JDs and the keywords that are in those JDs. Not because there's some mythical ATS that's keyword scanning you, but it's like those are the words, those are the hard skills that a company is saying, like, this is what we want, and those are the things I generally want, that I want to work on. I am a product manager. I want to do Scrum. I don't want to do Scrum. I want to do Agile. I want to work on a B2C company. I want to work on a SaaS product. Think about these things you want and then find jobs that have those. So that's going to bring them in. And then what you can start to do is either right through here, start to rate them. You can also do it if you close that over into this like table view. And you can say, this particular job, that one's a 4 for me. Again, you can do it in this consistent view. And one of the things that Teal does do for everything I'm showing you right now is free, is it makes every job consistent using AI. So it's always responsibilities, requirements, and nice to haves if we see them. And it's reshaping those with AI. You can see the original JD because sometimes the AI may, muck it up a little. So we want to make sure you have that. But they're all put in this consistent format since companies use all sorts of funky language on JDs. And then what I would encourage you to do is start to rate them. And what this is helping you do is understand what you like and what you don't like. And I think that's going to really help you as you look for jobs every single week because new jobs get posted every single day. And you want to get this like funnel and this process flowing. You want new opportunities coming in and you want to be moving them through your process. That's ultimately what a job search is about, is opportunities working their way through your process. You find them, you apply, you follow up, you either move forward or you don't, and just wash, rinse, repeat, keep going. And honestly, you don't stop until your first day on that job, because that's the way you can have the most optionality in the process. So uh, that is how you bookmark jobs and how you bring jobs in. Now, what I would do is I would establish a goal for yourself. So if we come back over to the home on Teal, we've done all the things. We have to create a resume, which we'll do in a second. Then you can set your goal. Um, we have to unlock the home. You can set a goal for applications and you can track it. I would say you want to set a goal of like 5 to 10 applications a week and then work yourself backwards from that. That might mean I bookmark 20 to 30 jobs a week and I'm only going to apply to 10 to 20% of them. But I would say just you don't be too rigorous or too tight with what you bookmark. Get them all in there. Set up Google alerts, do different things. And like I said, Teal does have a job search engine as well. So let's go ahead and do senior manager. We'll go ahead and add that. We'll just leave all that blank for now. We'll leave all that blank for now. And so these are jobs that we're pulling in. We do try to get them directly from career pages. Companies can't post to be on here. We're trying to go out there and get as many jobs as we can for you so they're easy to find. And the goal of what we're trying to do is give you fairly detailed facets. So say you want to work at startups and you want companies that's last round of funding was within 6 months. So you make sure they have money and they're like Series A. So there wasn't any in our database that's mapped. So Series B, but so let's go ahead and get rid of this filter because that's maybe constraining it too much. So there we go, 19 jobs. It's not about having thousands of jobs. You really want to get it down to like 2 digits. So so you can be more specific. And then I'm going to sort them by newest first. And there we go. 2 days ago, okay, senior manager, account-based marketing, that might be for me. Already sort of structured, and you can add that to your tracker. Now you can also say, I only want jobs that show compensation. So that's over here, only show jobs with salary info. That takes it down to 9 jobs. And so you can play with these filters. You can exclude certain keywords. Maybe there's no this is software you never want to use Workday again or something. You can do that. But these are all like fairly specific jobs. And this I'd say like in the next week, you're going to start to see way more startup jobs in here. So we're trying to get stuff in here. So give that a whirl. And if you like this, you can save this search and keep going back here. And new jobs get loaded every single day. I think almost 200,000 jobs a day get loaded in here. So that's something you can go to. All right, that's jobs. That's getting jobs in. This works on a bunch of other job boards as well. We've got our job board, but get in the routine of looking at jobs like every day at the end of the day, every day at the beginning of the day. Get in the process of adding jobs to your tracker, wherever that may be, on a daily basis. All right, let me take a quick look at the chat and make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. Does it work on Indeed? It should. Sometimes there's particular screens um, that don't, but let us know. Just hit our support and we will try to get that working for you. You can track contacts. I'll get to that in a little bit. Stats. We have a lot of data based on your activity. We don't sort of surface it. We want to, because one of the tricky things in a job search is getting feedback. And so in your case, as a UX designer, we'd love to say, hey, UX designers are generally getting a 5% response rate. And, AI engineers are getting a 25% response rate. And so that you can kind of get feedback on the market, but we don't do that yet. It's kind of an ambition for one day. Is the number of job applications decrease if one is looking for a director VP? Probably, just in terms of natural sort of pyramids of org structures. I would imagine there's less senior positions, but I don't know that empirically. Uh, Not Megan. I want to do that because then we can kind of be like consumer reports on jobs, and I think we're like in a good position to do that. We don't do that today. Um, so Teal is, I'd say, primarily oriented to the US and the US market. We're a US company. We don't exclude other places from using it. We want to help everyone, but in terms of our focus, most of our, if you look at our language and, I like to say we spell color with no U, it is mostly US focused. But we do want to slowly internationalize. So Emma, sorry, not fully there yet. Do you recommend searching for one job title? I would say one job title at a time. Because companies use so many different permutations of titles, we will add more like title synonyms over time. But yeah, I would do one title at a time. No, you have to archive the jobs, Jason. Teal does not automatically archive the jobs for you. Um, okay. All right. I will wrap there and go to the next thing. I'll come back and do another little check-in for more questions. Okay, so that's jobs, getting jobs into your tracker. They're all going to be here. I would say start to rate them because this is also a way to prioritize. You can't apply to everything. So if you just did, hey, I've only got one or two a day I can do, come in every day, prioritize. Okay, let me go to this one. Let me move it over to applying. And the point of the applying phase is to say, okay, now this is the one I'm going to start building an application for. I'm going to take the time and, do their online application, go through that work and do that. So, let's actually pick one we like. Let's pick a job we actually want to follow through with here. So I had a save searched for, that was my onboarding one. I can edit that. Let's call this. Save that to marketing. Okay, senior product marketing manager at Relay. That seems pretty cool. Let's just check job posting real quick. It's on Lever. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and add that to the tracker. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to use that job to start to make a resume. And here you can see the AI is processing that job for you. So we've looked at jobs, we've got an understanding of the market. Now let's head over to our resume builder, right? Because we need a resume to apply to jobs. So when you first start making your resume on Teal, you can use an existing resume. We use AI to try to parse it and structure it because resumes are all over the place, but they don't always come in perfect. In our case, we are just going to import Tina's LinkedIn profile, so it's fast and easy and pretty predictable. So you just need this URL. And I'm going to paste that in. But you can also, and if your resume is giving you a hard time, you can come over here and just paste the text. So copy it from a Word or Google Doc or wherever you have it, and that'll help. Because sometimes it's just like deciphering the PDF of the Word doc that's tricky, but this is a way for you to control it and just like really clean up the text and get it in. But we'll go ahead and do a LinkedIn URL. So it's going to ingest that. It's going to pull it in. We'll skip the tour for now because I'm going to give you a manual one. And what you're seeing here now is your resume builder. And Teal is built, right? We believe that you should tailor your resumes for every job you apply to. That doesn't mean you need to do a whole rewrite, but tailoring is the means. In terms of the intent, we have a deep belief that you're incredible. You've done a lot of amazing things over the course of your career. The thing is, a company only probably cares about part of it, right? I'll use my case. I studied architecture, but I eventually transitioned my career into doing sales and marketing. And the fact that I have an architecture degree maybe is relevant, but less so. And then I worked in architecture and then I know how to 3D model fairly well and I know video editing software. That just may not be as relevant. And so what we like to say is we want you to show the 10% of you that's 100% relevant to them. And Teal is fundamentally built on that premise. So the left is really your master resume. It's your career history. And what we're trying to do is decouple creation from curation. Because where I see so many people struggle is that tension between like, oh, this thing is so awesome that I'm so proud of. I want to include it, but I need to cut it because I want to get down to one page. And we want to say that doesn't matter. Put it all in your career history and then only show it to the companies that care more about those things, right? And so you don't have to lose anything. You don't have to delete any part of you. And that's the core idea behind the Teal Resume Builder, is that the left is this master resume, this exhaustive index of all the things you've done. And you're sort of picking the things that are relevant for jobs that you apply to. So let's talk about the resume itself real quick before we start to match it to a job. Obviously you want to get your contact info in here. I think having a headline or a target title is a good thing. I don't think you should fib on your resume fully, but I do think you can kind of reshape the past. But oftentimes, we're looking for the jobs we want to do versus what we did in the past. That's why we're searching in the first place. So we may not have the title that the company is hiring us for, right? Sure, I managed people. I did all these sort of senior managerial things, but at the end of the day, the company didn't give me that title. I want to project it. And I want to show them that I'm capable without lying and changing my title down below. So that's where I like a target title. And so, say Tina is looking for a director of marketing. We'll go ahead and put that on there. And that's why I like target titles. Some people might call them a headline, but I'd put it there because I'm channeling to the world that I'm that. I'm not saying I had that title before. Some people would disagree with me. Job search advice obviously is all over the place, but I like it and it doesn't bother me as someone who reads a lot of resumes when I'm hiring. Then professional summary, work experience, you know, you want to fill this in. And we'll talk a little bit more about these, but in the context of a JD. But focus on getting all your facts in here and load everything up. If you do want to work on your resume a little more, sort of independent of a particular job, you can do that. That's a way to make progress and move forward. We'll do it through the lens of a job. The template itself, I'm a big keep it simple person. Really, ATS aside, I think a lot of the ATS stuff is somewhat like scare tactics and fear mongering. You do want it to be parsable, but ultimately, a person's probably going to look at your job. The exception might be if you're in a high volume hiring situation. Um, you know, Amazon and their logistics facilities hire tens of thousands of people on a regular basis, so they may use some kind of automation. But if you're applying for a more knowledge work position, that's going to probably be less the case. A human's probably going to look at it, and so like really optimize for legibility and clarity. And so if you come over to our design mode, you can browse the library of templates. There's a bunch in here. We have, I'd say, most of the sort of traditional template styles. Um, when I upgrade, you can sort of tweak some of these. These are a little more designy in nature, um, but you can pick the ones that you're interested in. We'll go ahead and just use this template for now. And then in here, you can change a bunch of the settings. If you want no accent color or a slightly different accent color, you can change that. If you want to do just the years and not the days, you can. The thing about Teal is it's all data. And so what we want to enable you to do is to reshape the data. So say I want to put, it's more traditional to have the dates on the right, and our new template that's going to be coming out soon, we'll default it to that. I want the locations on the right. Say my skills down here, I'd rather have them as columns and I want it to be 4 columns. You can control all that and you can have a lot of fun with this. If it starts to take too much space, we can make the margins a little smaller. Go ahead and change that. And then if you come over to the settings here, the locations, again, it's all data. Sometimes people use Teal and they're like, why is the location in the wrong place? It's because you can actually just say where you want it. I'm of the belief that longer tenures are generally more appealing to companies. So by default, Teal does that. It shows everything at the company level and then nests positions below because we have the data and you can sort of reshape it how you'd like. But some people like to show the position first. That's totally fine. So what that does is then you can see here I had 2 jobs. Tina had 2 jobs at WeWork. Where here it's WeWork full tenure at WeWork. This shows the max duration right? From your first day at the company to the last day at the company, or by position. So now you're showing the dates in each position. Like, I don't think using either of these is going to be the reason you do or do not get moved forward in a process. But if you have strong feelings about how you'd like to show it, then totally go for it. My reason for liking the company is if someone's just skimming and going down the spine of the paper, they may not catch that these were two positions at the same company and just think that you were at shorter tenure. But also, if, and I'd say short tenure is anything over 2 years, I don't think it's going to really concern the person. If you moved up very quickly and you were at a company for 3 years and you're doing that and each position was like 18 months, then just be mindful that that might be how it's read. But and you can control the presentation of that however you'd like. In some cases, you could do both. I really recommend against this. I think it makes it too noisy, and so I would not do that. Um, so this is my preference. Company positions under, all at the top, nice and clean, less text on the page. And then there's other things here in the advanced. Once I upgrade, I can show you, but you can change the fonts, the light and spacing, all sorts of stuff, and have fun with that. All right, that is like the basics of getting the resume in the place that you like it, and now you can start to sort of manipulate it and modify it per job you're applying to. But let me do another quick check-in here on the chat. All right, I'm a little behind on the chat. There's a bunch. Okay, I'm caught up. UK question. Okay, job title. Oh yeah, again, it's mostly US jobs. Um, just let us know. That's really our main focus. Oh, got it to work. Very good. All right, cool. Yeah, always like remove filters if it's constraining, but we're working to make that better. Okay, yep. Thanks, Megan, for recommending courses and resources. That's great. Yeah, looking at the body of the JD is, I'd say, most important. Job titles really are all over the place. Agreed with that. Chris is asking about if your resume and your LinkedIn should match. And I don't think so. I think they serve two very different purposes. When you're thinking about how you source opportunities, I would think about them in two meta buckets, inbound and outbound. If you think about marketing and sales, I think your LinkedIn is about inbound. You want to optimize your LinkedIn more so that recruiters are coming to you. One of the main tools that recruiters use is called LinkedIn Recruiter, and they can search LinkedIn profiles and they use keywords within LinkedIn Recruiter. And so what I would do is optimize your LinkedIn for what you want to be found for. Your headline really matters, the keywords, and you can also put a ton of text on your LinkedIn. Think about what's there, all the positions. You have to click the see more, but you're very, um, it's actually quite generous with the amount of text you can put in there. So fill out your skills section and fill out the work experience section. The more you put in LinkedIn, the more chances you have of being found within LinkedIn Recruiter when recruiters are doing searches. Sure, when you apply, they may go to your LinkedIn, but they're not checking for how different your resume is. And your resume can be very tailored to the job you're applying to. And no one's going to say, oh, this person's disingenuous because you're not showing two entirely different versions of yourself. So you can be quite general with your LinkedIn. I think you can be ultra specific with your resume. And also you might include metrics that you couldn't share publicly. So hopefully that answers your question, Chris. Um, resume goes through the ATS. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Can we change the project section? So yes, thanks Ricky for asking that question. If you come over to design and you go to sections, you can rename these. We don't have like a abstract generic section, but you can co-opt one of these for something else if you'd like. You just come over here, you click the little pencil, and then you can rename it. So it's kind of a Teal hack. It's very encouraged. We leaned more towards like the structured data so that we can identify it rather than it just being loose text. But yeah, feel free to rename any of these sections to whatever you'd like. Uh, Pedro, yeah, that's a little bit of the spacing and the font. Try a different template. I'll show the advanced settings. That also gives you a little more control. Maybe try the margins. Um, That happens often, unfortunately. But just because we don't match your template, we try to mostly match the data, and then the template could be changing that. Is there a template for? Yeah, Andrew's question is, look, the temp. I would say no. I don't really think that matters, other than if you're a designer, and if you're like in a categorically different kind of job, like federal jobs where they have very rigid, specific templates. But I think for the most part, just aim for cleanliness and legibility. I don't think there's like resumes that are more for engineers versus more for marketers. Really aim for clarity and legibility. And then the other dimension is like the companies you're applying to. If you tend to apply to bigger companies that are using ATSs, it's probably going to get looked at by a recruiter. If you're applying to smaller companies, it's probably going to be looked at by a hiring manager. And they may have a little bit more of an opinion on the aesthetic, but recruiters mostly want like the content. They want to make sure it's clean, crisp, and you're making it easy for them to read it. Mm, a combination resume. Um, you'd have to do a little bit of a hack. You can again like reuse some of these sections. The way that we have, what I've encouraged people to do before, like when you add a work experience, we have this idea of a company description, position description. You could use the company name as the function and then change it. So just kind of ignore our data fields and just understand what they do to the hierarchy and sort of reappropriate them. That's a hack if you want to do it. Totally fine, doesn't affect other things, but we don't have a way to sort of reshape the data in the way that it's stored. What is your opinion on whether it matters whether you live in a geographically area? Yeah, I mean, if a company's hiring globally, remotely, then look for it. It's really kind of depends on the company and what they're willing to do. More and more job boards are getting better about listing whether the job's remote or not. But then times what a lot of job boards do will take the same job and post it 50 times in all the various cities because so many people add locality to their job search. So it's a little bit of the messiness that is job descriptions. Uh, okay. Is the professional summary vital? I like them. I think it's an opportunity to make a pitch. Um, you know, think about just think about the things you do in life and how things have to keep your attention, right? If you're watching a show on Netflix and like, do you watch the whole show no matter what, right? Like, each minute has to keep you, each second has to keep you enticed. And so I think the professional summary is a great way to make a little pitch for yourself and sort of maybe bring some of the things, especially if you have a multi-page resume, if you're 2, 3 pages, it's a way to kind of really get the punchy stuff to the beginning to hook the reader. I think if you have a one-page resume, it matters a little bit less. If you don't have as much work experience, it doesn't really matter. But it's an opportunity to make like an elevator pitch at the beginning of the document to entice people to keep reading. And so that's when I think they're valuable. I don't think they are a requirement by any means. The other reason I like them is given that like our eyes gravitate towards numbers and I think we kind of like believe them when they're on paper, is it's an opportunity for you to aggregate numbers over the course of your career. So if you're in sales and at one job you did 1 million in sales and another job you did 3 million in sales and another job you did 6 million in sales, you could say, oh, over the course of my career I've done over $10 million of volume of sales. So it's a nice place to aggregate up successes of your career. So that's another reason I like it, and it presents an opportunity for that. You can do it as bullets, you can do it as a paragraph, but just kind of this like little spot to make like an aggregated, all-encompassing pitch, I think is can be pretty handy. All right, we're at 336. I am 332. Let me just take a note of that. That's when I scroll back to the chat section. Megan, I'll be back to you. So we will go on from here. Okay. Now let's look at job matching. So you've got a resume. Well, actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's talk about adding a little bit of content. So if you're going to continue to add content, you can do this without JDs, but you've looked at the JDs, you've seen what they've done. You probably don't have everything you've ever accomplished. I would say the next thing you should do in your process is get yourself to 10 to 15 bullets per position because you'll be able to pick from them in the future. And whether you can use ChatGPT to help you with that. You can use all sorts of templates and examples. You can use RAI to help you with that. But that's what I would push yourself to do. That's not because they're going to be on your resume. That's because you're going to be able to pick them. and turn them on and off within Teal, which is that's working with a master resume. And I think a master resume gets you really efficient. You don't have to do that in Teal either. If you want to use a Google Doc, what I would do is make a master, and then every time you apply to a job, just erase the bullets and you do a save as. You can absolutely do that process with a doc, a Microsoft Word, but I think incorporating a master resume of all your accomplishments and all your achievements really speeds you up. It's a little bit of a go slow to go fast thing, like setting it up and getting it going. But as you apply to jobs, you're like, oh yeah, I did do that. Go ahead and add it back to your master resume. And you have this really incredible log of all the cool things you've done. And so Teal is built on that premise. So here, Tina was a marketing director at, well, let's do one of these earlier ones, like this marketing manager at WeWork. So you're going to add a bullet, and you can just paste them in. Again, if you're using ChatGPT, write them in. The main value is like putting in a bunch. I want to show you quickly how to use the AI within Teal. So we'll run with AI. When you first make one, it's going to do automatic. And what that's doing is it's looking at the entirety of your career history, seeing what you've done using the job title, and it's suggesting some things that maybe you've done. Think we don't, we weren't there with you, so we don't know. Think of these as kind of like templates or starters. And so you'd pick the one that's like closest to something you've done. Say, yeah, sure, this one, and you'll use that bullet, and now you can modify it. We, for the most part, try to put in a variable. Sometimes the AI will put in a real number. That's something we're working on, that it never does that. And if you don't like the numbers, you can take the numbers out. I'll show you a way you can leverage the AI to kind of help you with that. By default, we try to help you get a number in there. So we'll just go ahead and save that. So now I've got another bullet. Let's go ahead and add some more. Let's add another one. Uh, when you see these, if you check them, that helps us. It's a way for us to know the qualitative value. Sometimes, there we go. Okay, so that's the automatic. Now let's do keywords. What we're doing here, because we haven't attached a job, is we're using keywords that are probably relevant for a marketing manager. So things like digital campaigns or lead generation. And if you do continue, now it is going to create bullets that have those keywords. So we'll go ahead and use that bullet, and we'll save it. And we'll do another bullet here. This is my favorite one, actually, which is coach me. What I've seen a lot of people struggle with is like, I don't remember what I did. I know I did a lot of things. So coach me is trying to use the title to then ask you questions and tease it out of you. So did you do team management or brand awareness or budget management? In this case, I did do some budgeting, let's say. Okay, now what about, did you increase ROI? Did you reduce marketing costs? I did. I saved the company some money. You could do your own custom one if you did, but I'm going to go ahead and say reduce marketing costs, continue. Now with those two inputs, it'll give you bullets of things you might have done. And so I'll go ahead and just use that bullet and save it. And so what I would encourage you to do is fill it out. Get to yourself to 10 to 15 bullets per position, right? Because you're going to be able to quickly turn these on and off. And it's going to make it really fast for you to pick things as you're applying to jobs. And so tailoring doesn't become about writing things every single time. It just becomes about picking from this library of achievements you've done. And again, Teal makes it really easy for you to do that, but you don't have to do it here. You can do that with Google Docs. I just think it's a great process that streamlines, and it's a career asset. You can continue to do that. As you're in your job, write down your wins, continue to add them to your brag book, win book, master resume. I just think it's really good career hygiene to be doing that. So I've exhausted my career credit, my Teal credits. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade us now. Um, though you get about, I think, 5 or 10 for free. You can also get some cover letters. I'll try to highlight what is not free and what is free. I have a Zoom annotation thing in my way here. um, there we go. I got that out of the way. Come on, leave. Ugh. I need to get to my settings. Okay, I think I know what I did. I did Tina Miller plus webinar or something, so I just have to find her account. All right, while I do that, wait, I'm trying to multitask here. Tina dot Miller. Okay, perfect. Okay, this account is upgraded now. So let me go back over to here. And how do I get rid of these annotations? Okay, Um, I want to show one other form of bullet. So you can also improve your bullets. And so like say here's one that I don't want to use metrics. Let me go ahead and edit this bullet. I'll improve it with AI. And the last was custom prompt. And so here I can say, you know, please uh, use quality. I can't type well at all. That's why I need AI qualitative uh, language and remove metrics. And so you get like a custom prompt. That's more like a chat interface on a per bullet basis. And so there you can see it wrote it for you. I'll say, great, I'll use that bullet and save it. You can also score your bullets. Um, so if I had to say if team's got some pretty good bullets here. Let's see, we've got a more basic one. Well, when we go to edit the bullet, you can run an analysis on it and it'll score it for you. This is a great bullet, but if I like took the metrics out, um, let's leave it sort of with some typos, run an analysis, and you'll see the bullet's going to most likely have a pretty worse score. So it's a poor bullet. And so we can improve our bullet. We'll use automatic. There we go. We can run an analysis on that bullet again. And down here, you've got some guidance and some tips. And so we'll go ahead and save that. So there's a lot of workflow around the bullets. I think the bullets are the way that you articulate your successes. It's how you sort of prove that you have the ability. And I think a bullet talks about like the action you did, the impact you had versus just describing your responsibilities. Because that, again, no one was there with you, but I think those statements make a better case for your proving you have those abilities versus just describing what you did. Uh, okay, let's see. That was at 3:32. It's been about 12 minutes. Let me go back to questions here. The LinkedIn profile. No, we don't. I would just say that make the content, if you have this master resume, pull some of your content from here to LinkedIn. We do have like a LinkedIn audit in the Chrome extension. It needs a little bit of work. It's totally free, but it'll just like give you some high level tips. You can run it. But I would say hasn't been updated in a little bit, to be honest. Alan, yes, I'm sorry about that. Okay, maybe try doing it again, but paste in the text instead. That might have been an issue. So if you have like the Word doc or the Google Doc, try doing the paste instead of uploading the PDF directly, and that way you can clean up the text a little bit. It must be having a hard time. We're working very hard on a new parser, but I know that right now that's a little bit of a challenge. I worked on the game company with 3 mergers before we come up with. So Jason's asking about how to list companies and how to nest them. What I what I try to tell people when it comes to resumes and company names is leverage familiarity bias. So if one of those companies, don't lie, but leverage familiarity. So if one of those companies, the ultimate acquirer of all the companies, was a known brand like Activision or Blizzard, put them all under there as positions. And I would show, again, my preference. I think people like tenure. People say, oh, it's going to look like I was there too long. I don't think anyone really gets dinged for that, especially if you show progression and that you had multiple positions, right? What they want to see is movement and momentum in the career. And so that's why I like company and then showing positions. But if each one was over 2 years, generally take that as a sort of plus minus, then I think it's okay to show dates per position as well. It's a way to handle that. Zoom scrolled automatically on me. So Stephanie's asking, does it consider other bullets? Sort of. We're working on an analysis. Like if I increased and managed every single time that it keeps repeating it, I don't think our prompt currently accounts for like bullet typology and sort of that you've got too many of these. We're working on something that would help with that. It does not do that by default today. I'm pretty sure it doesn't do that. Okay, I'm gonna jump back. That was it. I'm at uh, mark at 3:44. I'll come back to that one. And it is now 3:47. All right, and I can stay a little longer and answer a few more questions if this is helpful for you all and you're enjoying it. Okay, going back over to Teal. All right, so now let's actually tailor a resume to a job, right? We want to apply to this position that is in our job tracker. Let's go back over to our job tracker, and it was this job at Relay. So here we go, right? We want to apply to this job. We'll move it over to our applying stage, and you can do it either via the resume builder or the job tracker. If you go to resumes, you can here and you can say create resume right from here. But I want to do it via Teal so I can explain it, via the job tracker so I can, via the resume builder so I can explain a few things. Sorry about that. So in the resume builder, when you go back to the home, you're going to see you have multiple resumes. You're going to have one by default. And when we make a new resume, it's going to be populated. And when I watch sort of user replays, I can see that a lot of people get confused by this because if you were to make a new document in Google Docs, it would be blank. That is like by definition what Teal is not. It is a database and these are views of your database. So when you make a new resume, it's going to default on with everything. I think after 3 or 4 resumes, it's going to ask you, do you want things on or off? But that's what's going to happen. If you have a resume that you already like a workflow that some people might do is take this one as like, and call it like starter, and it's got some settings in the way that I like it, and it's already got some things turned on and turned off, which is kind of like my starter. Then what you do is from there, just go ahead and duplicate that one. So always like duplicate your starter. And so that's how you can modify your workflow to account for that. We want to be able to make it easier for to just get a good one out of the box, but right now it doesn't. So that might be a way that you sort of tweak your workflow a little bit. All right, so I've got my starter. So now I've got 3 resumes. And let's go ahead and go over to job matching. And let's get that job at Relay. So there it is. And we have this feature, it's a little rigid right now, where it will actually go and use AI to pick the most appropriate bullets. Oftentimes your score will go down because it's adhering to our sort of resume best practices, which again are a bit strict right now. So I'm gonna not use that. And so here we are, we've got the job match, it's got a 23% match score. And what it's doing is using the keywords to do that. We do have a new keyword algorithm coming in the next 2 weeks that's a little tighter. Right now, I'd say we are a bit generous with the keywords. So I encourage you to ignore things that just aren't relevant. Again, you shouldn't have to do that. Our AI should do it for you. It's coming. But now you can go down. It's going to show you by default all the keywords you're missing. Down here below, you can see all the keywords you have. You can see you've got your skill, your hard skills, your soft skills. So they're the ones you have already. Then up here are the ones you're missing. If you want to have the JD side by side, it's right here. Just go to job description. And if you did have any notes in your job tracker, those will be here as well. One quick way to sort of up your keyword coverage. Again, this isn't about tricking an ATS. So I would say in the bullets is where you want to try to prove that you have these abilities. But if there are like softwares, you're not going to say like use salesforce.com to drive sales. Those are a little silly. But if they are listing out particular softwares, I do think the skills section is a great place to put those. So here's kind of like a quick win. Let's see here. Let's see if they have any. They don't really, most of these I would say are like task-based. They're actually less software-based, other than their company name, Relay. But, say I did want to put in positioning as a skill. You can just do plus, and it adds it to the skills section of your resume. So those are all down here, just added positioning. So that's a quick little thing you could do. Just make sure you've got good coverage. And then it also builds in your library of skills and technologies that you might forget that you used HubSpot and you're like, oh, that doesn't matter. Some companies might want it. So I would say that's like a good little just like thing to do. Continue to build out your skills library. Now we want to start to address some of these keywords. And so going back to bullets, let's go ahead here at this NVIDIA job. Let's go ahead and add a bullet. We'll use AI. And now a job description tab shows up. And you can go through the job description and pick things you want to respond to. It's processing it right now. This should be a little quicker. There we go. So it's showing you all the responsibilities in the job and all the requirements. And so you could say, you know what? I have done go-to-market strategies. Let me go ahead and continue that. And it's going to generate bullets that are a response to that responsibility. And so see, there's go to market. I'll go ahead and use that one. Okay, I'm not going to modify them right now. It's going to make things up like time and percentages. So modify these, take ownership of them, save it, and now my score is going to go up. And so, I would say try to get it into that 50, 60% range. If there's things that, analytical analysis, our new keyword matching algorithm will have both of those. I think a human would say like, that's fine. So I would just like ignore one. And so you can do that as well. Be liberal with like ignore, use your judgment. And if you see a word that just like doesn't matter, just ignore it. And don't let this sort of push you too hard. We're looking to make it better. You shouldn't have to do that. The software should do it for you. But I do want to be honest about it today, and I don't want you to drive yourself crazy with that. That is matching. And then what I see some people do is like they switch the job. I wouldn't encourage that. Make a new resume. You want to make a resume per job. Now, if you're applying to a job and it was pretty similar, then go ahead and duplicate it and then switch it. But you're not capped. You can make unlimited resumes and bookmark unlimited jobs in Teal for free. So I would encourage you to make a resume per job that you're applying to. All right, so let's go ahead and export that. And you export it. It's going to do a quick little check for you. And just export it. And I will put this in here. Oh, my desktop's a mess. But if you open it, you can see, fully highlightable text. That means it's ATS friendly. We do have 2-column resumes, but I'd say universally 2-column resumes are problematic for ATSs. So I generally discourage them, but enough people wanted them that we put them in the platform. But almost every ATS struggles with the parsability. So like when you upload to Workday and like the things falling in, that's usually why. So there's our PDF of our resume. For time, I'm going to stick around a little bit extra, but I want to get us through some other things in terms of like the process downstream. So now we'll come over here to Relay. We do have this beta feature. We want to make a better version of it, but now we want to apply to this job. So if it's on Lever or Greenhouse, you can leverage this functionality. So here we are on the job. It's interesting. It's trying to pick up my LinkedIn. But this job, we have it. We've already bookmarked it. We bookmarked it on LinkedIn, so the URL is actually different. So let's go ahead and save it. And now we'll autofill the application. And we'll use this starter copy, which I should have renamed to Relay. And we can continue with autofill. This tool is not perfect. It's very much a beta. We're working on a better version of it. But for Greenhouse and Lever, sometimes it can save you, just a couple seconds on some parts of it. And let us know if it doesn't work well for you, or if you'd like to see us do more with this. We're currently exploring a much more advanced version of this functionality. You would upload your resume and you'd apply. We're not going to do all that part. Then you're going to go back over to your job tracker. You're going to move that job to applied. Okay. And what gets measured gets managed. So this is a good part of your job search. Work your way through. And now if we go back to our home, we should see that we've got our pipeline, how many jobs we've bookmarked. We have some efficacy of what our funnel is so far. Obviously, we just started. We haven't moved anything to applying yet. It defaults to a goal of 5 applications a week. We want to try to close our ring on a weekly basis. The jobs that we put into the applying will be here under your priorities. I like that phase. I think if you were making your own job tracker, you probably wouldn't put an applying status, but it's a nice way to have like a little holding ground for the ones I intend to get to. So I like it, and that's why we have it there. And you can then, sort of set some follow-up dates if you wanted to. I got too many Teal tabs open. Go ahead and close some of these. So we'll go back to our job tracker. Job at Relay. It knows what resume is attached. I probably should have renamed it to Relay. Actually, it usually renames it automatically for you. Now you can like research people. We do have this guidance that you have here. And so we encourage you with some steps and actions that you can take in your job search. So leverage the guidance. We've thought through a lot of these things. So even in applying, if you want to get a referral, you can click here. It'll automatically like search LinkedIn. Tina doesn't have any connections there, so let's turn off the first degree. But here we go, Relay Financial, and you can, let's go ahead and try to reach out to the CEO. You can also bookmark contacts on Teal. So we'll go ahead and save that. I'll go ahead and save their name. And so in the tracker, you can, you know, attach contacts as well and keep track of all that. It's not automatic, but then you do have these email templates that you can use as a follow-up once you go to applied. Here's like a template that you can use. You get one template per stage for free once you upgrade. There's a bunch of templates in here. We want to make these really smart and personalized with AI. Today, they're kind of old school templates. Um, all right. Then before we wrap, I want to show you this next tool that I think could be really, really handy. Is now you say you want to start practicing your interviewing. And this is a tool that's a little bit buried within Teal, but I think really powerful. And one of the funnest things I think we've built is you can go over when you're in interviewing, you can do interview practice. And so since we've got the full JD and we've got your resume, I would schedule your interviews. We got called in for an interview next week. Close that. So next week we got an interview at 3 o'clock. Let's go ahead and save that. What type is it? It's a initial screen. It's a Zoom. And so track your interviews. You can do unlimited number of interviews as you work your way down. But then what we're going to do is we're going to do a new practice session. I have like a teleprompter thing, so it's a little bit confused right now. It's covering this, so just ignore that part. But we'll go ahead and start a practice session.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for taking the time to interview today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I appreciate you asking. To set expectations, we'll chat for about 15 minutes, allowing you to share your background and experiences as they relate to the Senior Product Marketing Manager role. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Great. Let's start with the first question. Can you tell me about yourself and your background in product marketing?
Yeah, I've been in marketing for over 7 years. I've worked at some great companies. I have a real interest in product marketing and sitting at the intersection between marketing and product and making sure that we're serving our users and doing customer research and addressing the market in the best way possible.
It sounds like you have a solid foundation in marketing and a genuine passion.
So I'll go ahead and end that. But then it's going to give you feedback. It's going to talk about like your pace of talking, the length of the words, and it's using the JD to simulate the conversation. And so I would use it to practice like your tell me about yourself. And this is like you want to get good at this. This is a good life skill in general, but it's also going to really prepare you, and it's going to be different every time. So it's going to be, a lot of the interview tools out there will give you the questions in advance, and that's great. But we chose this more emergent approach where you just don't know, which is a little bit more like real life. And then you can run it over and over and over again, and it'll be slightly different each time, but you will see a transcript. Sometimes if it gets a little stuck, yeah, you might have to hit refresh, and it's telling you your words per minute. It's going to give you some strengths and feedback. And so I encourage you to use that and do that in advance. There is a little bit of superstition in the job search, and some folks might not let themselves do this until they get their first interview. I would say don't do that. Like you're gonna get interviews. You're running a great process. Start to build these muscles and go ahead and do that now, because going through these might even help you realize things that should be on your resume that you haven't articulated yet, because it's going to ask you questions. And we eventually want to pull from the transcript and help you populate your resume, but it doesn't do that today. But even just like vocalizing your successes and being like, oh yeah, I did do that, can be a great way to, one, pump yourself up and remember how awesome you are and all the cool things you've done. All right, so I'm going to wrap there. That's your process. Obviously, you're going to get interviews and you're going to keep throwing and you're going to keep updating Teal and your job tracker. But I'll send a survey out for feedback. I'll stick around for Q&A. But I sort of asked for an hour, got an hour, and just want to make sure that we wrap there. But I will switch over to more of a Q&A now. Okay, I think I last jumped at 3:44. So let me go up into the chat. Okay, how much does the analysis matter at the top? Look, these are right now I'd say it's like a lightweight rule checking. We have some recommendations around like the first position having more bullets and then sort of it going down, some recommendations around metrics and some key sections. So, I think it's like what we think are the best practices, but at the end of the day, they're not like you're not going to not get hired because of them. So use them as guidance, but don't. If you're wasting too much time trying to adhere to our rules, then we're doing you a disservice, which we're working on. Your time is better invested in applying to more jobs and putting yourself out there. So it should be like a guide and a nudge to help you shape some things. But you know, those are our Teal best practices. It's not like some rule set that companies told us if you have this, you get hired. Yes, this is recorded, Patrick. I will share it out. We usually post it to YouTube, and then you can access it from there. Sure, Ricky. Send me your any of the emails that you got from Teal that say my name. If you reply to one of those, they'll go to our support, and they can forward me your email, and I'm happy to take a look. Does Google use the XYZ formula? Essentially, I wouldn't say it's like XYZ in its sense. Like everyone's got a different version of that, but it's kind of like what you did, the impact of you did. So essentially, yes, we want to build it in a way where you could pick the format you want, but it's essentially that. I would love the ability to add more section headings. Yeah, right now, Kara, you would need to essentially like co-opt one of the other sections. We're working on adding more sections, and we've even toyed with the idea of like a generic section. But we'd really like to do is like the data being structured is what we think is really important because then we can guide you. But we are thinking through how do we give you ultimate control while still giving you structured data. So, but right now it doesn't have the way to do that. Again, you can like reuse one of the sections. Like, so take the project section and just like use it for something else. That's totally fine. And you can rename it. And that's a good hack that we see some people do. Can you spend some time explaining the features between free and subscription? Jeff. Yeah, so most of the stuff I showed today was free, and sort of philosophically, we try to make everything available for free. And at a certain point, it runs out, but you can at least use it and see it. The bulk of the paid functionality is in the resume builder. So as a quick, you can do unlimited resumes, unlimited exports, unlimited content. None of that is blocked. Once you get to the bullets, using AI, I think you have 5 credits and then that runs out. But you can make as many bullets as you'd like. So we don't cap how many you can save. So, if you want to use ChatGPT to write them and save them in here, awesome. Hopefully we can save you some time and you'd want to use Teal Plus at some point, but that's the bar we need to meet. We are using the same algorithms, but hopefully we save you time. Then on design, you have advanced settings. So now that these are actually unlocked, I can show you. You can do all sorts of stuff with the body copy. You can change the spacing. And so you can really have a lot of fun with, the templates that you want in here. There's also other templates you can pick from. So we have like hybrid templates. There's like a 2-column template. If I use this one, then when you go to your sections, oh no, this is actually a 1-column just with this thing. So let me pick another one. This is more of a traditional 2-column. This is a hybrid, single and then 2. Right, so you can sort of like rearrange these now and do that and sort of reorder those. Actually, I didn't talk about that. You can reorder the sections as well. If you're a recent grad, maybe your education belongs at the top, but that's here in this section, and you can rename them. So more templates become available, and they're the ones flagged with this little yellow flag. Some of these are like more designy and pretty cool. Those are available on Teal Plus, and then advanced design settings. On analysis, you unlock all the analysis. So you can see we have about like 5 or 6 rules that we check for free, and then you unlock that. And then with job matching, you get 5 keywords for free. You get all the keywords when you go paid. We do have a cover letter functionality. Once a job is matched, I think you can write 1 or 2 cover letters for free, and then you get unlimited cover letters. That looks like the cover letter said no. Sometimes try again. If your credits for some reason exhaust, let us know if it breaks. So there it goes. And it uses the exact same visual template as your resume. So you don't have to, so that they match. That's there. Those are, I think, all the main things. And then we have the bullet coach, which I think you get 5 runs of the bullet coach or the bullet score. And then in the job tracker, you get all the keywords here, and then the templates. Everything else is free. I'd say like 90 to 95% of the platform is free. And those are the areas that are paid. Not making a great sales pitch for it, but that's you get a lot for free. We're trying to add more. Oh, these are free too, which I didn't show these. Interviews, you get 2 interviews for free, and then that gets unlimited. Once you bookmark 5 jobs, you get this pretty cool compensation dashboard. It's actually a little bit broken right now. It's a beta feature, but it synthesizes all the jobs that are in your tracker, and it shows you the average comp, shows you the typical years of experience, some pretty cool stuff. And then when you eventually get your offer, which you will, you can upload a PDF of it and like chat with it, and it can help you do that. But those are beta features that are coming, but those are free, so they're not even right now gated. All right, that was that for Jeff. Hopefully that answered your question. Multiple roles for resume. Yeah, you just turn things on and off, Ahmed. That's the whole idea. Is you have a whole career history, and then per resume, you're just turning things on and off. Actually, one thing I didn't cover, and so let me go ahead and show this real quick. So let's go ahead and let's make starter resume A. And we'll make starter copy resume B. This is a fairly advanced functionality and can get a little complicated, but the intent is good. So say for this particular job, I just need to modify it a little bit. And for some reason, I want to say GTM on this one. That's what the company did. And I don't want to put that on my other resumes. I want just this one to do it. So I am not going to check save all resumes. I'm going to save it. And so now if I go back to resume A, that's a bug. That should not have happened. You should see like a little update thing. Actually, someone just filed this bug yesterday. So you have revision controls. So what it should have done, there is something kind of funny that it's like the first time it's modified. So I got to look into it. It might be sort of our rules sort of outsmarted us. And now here I am doing save to all resumes. Actually, let me not and see what happens. So save that. Let me go back to resume B. Yeah, and so I think it's the first time it's created. I'm going to look into that, but this ultimately shows you the functionality. So now if I do update available, it knows that on another resume, it's called go to market. And now I can do update and pull it in. So you can do these very, very granular edits on a per resume basis, or you could propagate it all out to your resume. And so it's really trying to give you sort of version control across all your resumes. Again, it might be a feature that we might have outsmarted ourselves because it gives like crazy control that makes it a little bit, but that's the idea that you can then sort of have granular control. I would say think about when you're duplicating a bullet versus editing a bullet. If you're saying something truly different, just duplicate a bullet, which you can do here, and then you can modify it or do a save as or a whole new bullet versus just slight tweaks. If there's like a typo, the nice thing is that you can publish it out to all your resumes. That's kind of the intent of that functionality. That's all free. None of that's gated. Yes, Tracy, this is being recorded. Workday, our autofill feature does not work with Workday. That's part of what we're trying to do. There are some other great ones out there, like Simplify.jobs does a really good job with that. They have a fantastic product. They have a resume builder too, but their autofill feature is really good. And so Simplify.jobs, I recommend them. They do a really great job. Their product's awesome. Patrick is asking if DOCX is preferable to PDF. But generally, I don't think so. I mean, what I like about PDFs is that they sort of look the same. We use Ashby, which is a more modern ATS. So I can speak to Ashby. We used Greenhouse before. These are sort of smaller business. It's not the Workdays, iSims, Taleos of the world. Generally, all the recruiters I've talked to say it's a non-issue. Unless a company explicitly says that it should be a DOCX, then I think you're fine. But it really is at the end of the day on a company by company basis. But again, I think for the most part, you're fine unless they explicitly say otherwise. Is there a way to add notes to each app? Yes. So in the job tracker, you have these modes here or these tabs. So you can add notes to every job. You can't do it from the grid view. So, you can go in here and then that tab does stay active. So if you want to add a bunch of notes, you can say, this is a note. And those notes are available in the resume builder. So if you're saving notes for the future, so things you want to remember, you can just put them here. And I believe you can add notes within the Chrome extension. Yes. So here you can add notes and they save here as well. And once you upgrade, you can also see all the keywords in the Chrome extension. You have the top 5 here, but then you can see them all. So it's kind of cool to keep the keywords active as you jump around, and it gives you this nice little sort of synthesized summary. The little tip hint, the Chrome extension is actually using our latest keyword algorithm, and so you'll see that the keywords are slightly different. They're going to be in sync soon, but it'll give you a sense of like this is a better algorithm. It's a little more strict, and so it doesn't get as many, but that's actually good. The one we get today actually has too many skills. Okay, I've seen some. Okay, it's a jump tracker. We had talked about the notes. I have my resumes. No, I cannot check resumes for if you work for other companies. That I don't think I can be that helpful there. Yes, you can quickly generate cover letters, which I covered, Brent. So some of these I addressed. Again, this will be recorded. Oh, thanks, Maria. I appreciate it. We're trying. Hopefully, you don't have to make any more homemade spreadsheets and tools. We're trying to account for all those things. I will connect with you, Megan. Great. Da, 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 da. Okay, I think this is a lot of wrapping up here. So, again, thanks everyone for joining. I think I'm covering all the questions. I want to make sure. I think we got all of them. All right, great. So I'll do more of these. I'm gonna be doing 2 a week for the next 2 weeks, and then if you guys like them or if you find value, I'll continue to do them. I think there's we sort of forget how much is in the Teal platform, and as many tutorials and YouTubes as I try to make, we can't get it all. So figured this is kind of the best way to get feedback and hear from you what other features we need, and it's also a way to show you all the stuff that's in here. But feel free to email me, reply to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. We really want to help you land that job you're going after, and a big part of it is running a great process. As a process comes before tools. We're trying to build tools that enable a process, but you can do all these things with Google Docs. You can do these things with spreadsheets, but having a great process and bringing some rigor and structure to your job search and setting some goals and objectives will go a very, very long way. I think that Teal will help you with that, but ultimately, most importantly, is like what gets measured gets managed and running a good process. So best of luck. Feel free to reach out. I'm LinkedIn/David Fano. Actually, Tina will go to my LinkedIn profile. That's me, I'll put it in the chat. Feel free to, I get a lot, I don't necessarily accept everyone, so maybe just put a message, was at the webinar, so I can know to accept you. Otherwise, follow me, or email me. You have my email address. It's just david.fano@tealhq.com, and I will try my best to get back to you. All right, thanks everyone so much for joining. Again, if you have feedback on these, we'll probably send a survey. Let me know. I love feedback. Feedback about the product, feedback about the webinar, feedback about my teaching style. I'll take all of it. So have a wonderful rest of your day. For those of you that celebrate Valentine's Day and are not like me, whose wife's birthday is also on Valentine's Day, have a great day. And so hopefully not as much pressure as me. Talk soon. Thanks so much for joining.